Computers are really, really good at chess. Probably no human will ever beat a top computer in a normal game of chess again. And even a draw would be a tremendous achievement. However, in special cases, humans can still play chess better than computers. In this position, white can provably win by force with a beautiful concept that a strong human can find. In the main line, it's checkmate in 10 moves. However, Stockfish, the best chess engine in the world, can't see it. The key here is the brilliant queen sacrifice, queen to f6 check. Now, this queen sacrifice surrenders the queen for only the bishop here on e7, and white has to follow up with non-forcing moves to arrange the checkmate. That makes it very difficult to calculate, both for humans and for computers. In this case, too difficult for computers, but not quite too difficult for a strong human. Now, black has two legal moves here. Of course, you can accept the queen sacrifice, which is the main line, but black can also play king to g8. We'll look at king g8 after we see the main line. So here we have bishop takes f6, and now you must recapture with the g pawn because this bishop needs this diagonal. It's important to note here that black can bail out and play the move queen takes f6. Now, white will capture the queen, and in the resulting position, black will not get checkmated, but white will have an extra knight. Now, that's not what is confusing Stockfish. Stockfish knows that if black has to give up the queen for the pawn here, white will have extra material and win. What's confusing Stockfish is the reply king to g8. What was white to checkmate here? Now, you might have noticed a checkmating pattern. White can play the move rook to h3 and then try to take on h7 and give checkmate with either rook g7 or rook to h8. The problem is that after rook h3, black has the move pawn to h5, and these pawns provide just enough defense. There is no way for white to invade, break through, and arrange the checkmate. Now, the critical defense here was dependent on this pawn, which is why white now has another brilliant move. Rook takes h7. This follow-up rook sacrifice destroys black's defenses. Now there is no way for black to avoid checkmate. White is threatening checkmate with, for example, rook to g7 and then rook to h3, or white could double the rooks on the h-file and then deliver checkmate with a few different patterns. As a result, black really doesn't have a choice here, and black needs to capture the rook on h7. After king takes h7, we have rook h3 check. Black has only one legal move to get out of check. That is king back to g8, and now bishop to h6. Earlier, I mentioned that the bishop needed this diagonal. This is why. White's simple idea is to play bishop to g7 and then rook to h8 checkmate. It seems like a very slow idea, and it is, but it's not slow enough. There is no way for black to deal with this threatened checkmate. The best try is queen c7 or queen b8 to try to capture this pawn here on e5 with check, and if black could do that, then black could defend by maybe capturing this pawn or by gumming things up on the h-file and giving the queen back with queen to h5. Of course, white has demonstrated a lot of patience already, and white needs to demonstrate a little bit more patience with the move pawn to f4. This pawn formation is now just too strong. Black has no way to break it down, and the pawn formation supports the mating pattern with bishop g7 and rook to h8 checkmate. Black's best try is just to include some spite checks. These are checks that delay the checkmate, but they do not stop it. For example, queen takes e5, pawn takes, knight to b4, bishop to g7, threatening the checkmate. Black gets one more check, but after the king moves out of the check, there's nothing black can do, and we have checkmate here on the 10th move as promised. So this is really, really spectacular stuff. We did promise one other variation though, and that is that after queen f6 check, black could try to avoid capturing the queen here and play king to g8. In this position though, white just follows up with an idea that we've already seen, rook takes h7. Again, this rook sacrifice. And if black captures the queen here with bishop takes, then we're transposing into the main line we've already seen. And if the rook is captured with, for example, king takes on h7, then you have rook check. And after king g8, you can pick your checkmate. Either the rook or the queen can go to h8 and create checkmate. Also, after rook takes h7, we should note that black here could try bishop takes on f6, pawn takes on f6, and then you could try queen takes f6 here, but it doesn't actually change anything. The position here is a little different than the positions that we've seen previously, but after pawn takes, you again have the same mating construction with bishop to h6. The fact that you no longer have a pawn on e5 and this kind of cool formation with pawns on f4, e5, and f6 doesn't matter because this pawn is still invulnerable and we have bishop to g7 and rook to h8 checkmate coming. Why can't Stockfish see this checkmate? In fact, I've let Stockfish calculate to a depth of around 40. That's 20 moves by white and 20 moves by black. And the checkmate in the main line is what we would call a checkmate in 10, meaning white only needs to make 10 moves to checkmate. That's actually depth 20, half of the depth to which Stockfish is calculating. So, why isn't Stockfish seeing the checkmate? Well, Stockfish uses a strategy called pruning to calculate to great depth. If a line looks unpromising after a few moves, Stockfish prunes the line so that it can look more deeply into the lines that it thinks matter. Usually, this is a great idea. But sometimes, if a large sacrifice leads to a checkmate that is just a bit too far down the road, Stockfish can prune the line and give up on a brilliant idea like this one too early. Human intuition, though, is able to see that there is more there to calculate and can push on and find the winning idea. If you've enjoyed this video, consider liking or leaving a comment. I doubt it makes too much difference in the algorithm, but I certainly appreciate it and I'm grateful for all of the positive feedback that chess lovers do share on the channel.